UFC London, my boy, Natty Wood.
Natty Wood. Yo, Bruce Buffer, yo, bro, what do you mean? That's so cracked, dude. St. Patty's Day? Patty the Baddie is fighting right next to St. Patty's. Guaranteed dub.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I am co-host Gordo Gambles, joined today by this beauty of a man here, Key Road. And UFC is back in London. What an absolutely beautiful card we have for us on this Saturday. Before we get into it, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. I'm doing well. This past weekend was a nice little weekend of UFC for us, and this is a really exciting card. Obviously, this is not, a UFC pay-per-view numbered event, but it is UFC London, which means they put together a decent card here, and this is a very exciting one. There's a lot of up-and-coming fighters, big names, big favorites, and it's one that we're extremely excited for. Another one that's earlier in the day, so easier to stay up for that main event.
Yeah, this is UFC London card is absolutely stacked. It's what I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. You have some absolutely fan favorites here. You have Patty the Baddie, you have Ilya Topuria, the return of Gunnar Nelson, and that main event between Aspinall and Volkov is a banger as well. I still don't waste any more time. Let's get into it. One thing to mention, luckily we waited until Nathaniel Wood was ruled out because that was going to be a core play, and man, would that suck to have to edit that all over again because he would have been a large part of my video. I love Nathaniel Wood. He's looking like a 2% body fat, lean, mean, killing machine.
Yeah.
And he's gone. If he's no longer a core play with ours, who is our favorite pay-up option this week?
You look here up to the very top of that price range, and you got Patty the Baddie Pimblett sitting there at $9,400. UK guy fighting in front of his home crowd. This guy is an electrifying fighter. I mean, this guy is trying to be the next Conor McGregor. Whether he does that or not, still to be decided, but that's his goal, and that's what he tries to do. He goes out there, he entertains. He's had one UFC fight so far. He put up 120 points, a great score, and this guy is looking like the next Sean O'Malley out here. He's a big favorite in these fights, and he's getting opponents who just aren't on the same level as him. He's being set up for success in front of this home crowd here at UFC London, and that is an opportunity we'd like to take advantage of. He is at $9,400, which is the top of the price range, and the one thing is that he is going to be extremely chalky this week. This guy is going to be high owned, so there will be a point where Patty starts fighting fighters who are at his level, and we might be fading him, especially if he has a high price tag, but this isn't that week. Still a low opponent. He could get that finish. He could score really big here. We like him a lot, but he does have that very high price tag.
And if you do want to stay away from that chalk, I know like we said he's going to be chalky up top. Mokaya making his debut, 9.1K, first fight of the night. He's another option I'm targeting up top. Now, Patty the Baddie, we're picking him to win by sub. Mokaya as well. Mokaya, maybe 5-0, but he has a 23-0 amateur record. This guy has skills to pay the bills. I think he not only has the youth on his side, he's a very young fighter, but he has the skills to back it up. He's been saying all week he's going out there looking for a finish, and Cody Durden is a guy who's been subbed before. I'm picking Mokaya by sub, and I think a lot of people are going to be scared by his little expertise in professional MMA with only a 5-0 record. I'm not one of those guys. I'm taking him to win, I'm taking him to finish, and hopefully he has less ownership than Patty up top.
This UFC London card is one where we like a lot of the favorites in these spots. There aren't too many underdogs that we think have a good chance of winning their fight. But the first one we're going to talk about today, a nice GPP option this week, is going to be Paul Bear Jew Craig. Up there in the realm of legendary nicknames as well. But this guy's sitting here at $7,500 this week, going up against Krylov. And Paul Craig is a guy who obviously is the underdog in this spot. Krylov is a very good fighter, but we've seen how good Craig can be on the ground. I mean, just ask Jamal Hill in that last fight. He got that big win, put up 103 points. And we've seen him get a bunch of wins here in the UFC, including quite an unfortunate one against Ankalaev, one of the best of the division. So he's a guy that we definitely think has the advantage on the ground, despite Krylov's abilities. And that means that he could get this finish. A lot of his fights aren't going to the decision. He's kill or to be killed. We say that about a lot of fighters, but Paul Craig definitely falls into that category. But if he gets that W, if he gets that submission, he gets that finish, he could score very big this week for $7,500.
He's our GPP play. There's no denying his extremely vast arsenal on the ground. There's probably no one you want to be on the ground less in that division. He is absolutely insane. But like we said, killer to be killed, he has been finished. He's a guy who's more of a GPP option. If you want to look into cash side, we're taking our boy Jack Shore, and he's going to be one of the most popular underdogs this week for a very, very good reason. 7.6K. Jack Shore is an undefeated fighter, 15-0. And you're thinking about this, undefeated, great IQ, great well-rounded game, good wrestling, good BJJ, good striking. How is he the underdog? Well, he's facing Timur Valiev. Timur Valiev in his own right is an amazing fighter. And whereas I do think that it's going to be an extremely close fight, I'm taking Jack Shore's IQ to win it for him. I know that Valiev is one who does have a good skill set in his own right, but he lacks a lot of those abilities that Jack Shore does. Jack Shore is so good everywhere that I do think he has a lot of potential in this division, and you're giving me an underdog price tag, I have to take it. I see this fight going all 3 rounds, so even in an L, he's going to score very, very high. He's my cash option for this week. All right, let's talk about the main event. This fight is one that's going 5 rounds. I see this one finishing. Hopefully it does. It's going to be an absolute banger. Tom Aspinall sitting at a price tag of 8.3K. Never been past second round of the UFC. It's going to be a big step up facing Drago Alexander Volkov at 7.9K. What side are we on?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Volkov a whole lot in the octagon in the UFC. Guy's a vet, and he is an extremely good fighter. But this is an interesting fight here. I mean, when the betting lines opened, a lot of them were in the favor of Volkov slightly, with Aspinall being a slight underdog. But as we see here on DraftKings, at the opening of these lines for the DraftKings salaries, they have Aspinall as a slight favorite here. Now, when we saw that these lines opened up with Aspinall as the underdog, we were all over it. We think that Aspinall definitely has a better chance of winning this fight. He's got that youth advantage. He has that ground game. He has the boxing chops to keep up with Volkov. Volkov does have that length advantage over Aspinall, but we think that Aspinall is a fantastic up-and-coming fighter and definitely has the ability to get this win over Volkov. Even if you don't agree with us and think that maybe Volkov has more of a chance to win, this is a great salary for 2 guys who could put up big scores here. The KO is definitely live on both sides of this fight, which means that even if you think Volkov has that better chance, I mean, you'll almost have to have one of these guys in your lineups. It's the main event, and $8,300 and $7,900 is a great mid-range price tag.
Aspinall's in front of his home crowd. He has a lot to prove, and yes, it's scary to take it because we haven't seen him past the second round, but from everything we've seen from him, he is a great fighter with a lot of chops to really show us how good he is, and I think this is the perfect stage for him. Volkov, however, is no joke. I think he has some good boxing chops to keep it at range. If it does get extended, I do favor him. I'm going to have around 60-40 ownership for Aspinall. I don't mind the dog shot on Volkov, but I'm picking Aspinall to win. All right, let's talk about one last fight I want to target as a whole. We're looking at that Nelson versus Sado fight. What side are we on?
Yeah, I mean, this fight should be an absolute banger. We got Gunnar Nelson here making his return after 3 years out of the octagon, which is super exciting. I mean, this guy has faced the best of the best in this division. He has he's got that vet experience against the guy in Sado this week, a younger fighter coming up in the UFC who is more of a striker. Nelson, obviously an elite submission artist. This guy is quite good on the ground, and he's facing a guy in Sado who has been subbed in a lot of his losses. I mean, this is a perfect path to victory for Gunnar Nelson here, and there's a reason he's at $9,200 against Sado as that huge underdog. So this is definitely very live to get that submission early on in this fight, which could score huge for Gunnar Nelson. He definitely could be worth that $9,200 price tag. We really like him. On the other side, Sado, an elite striker, could potentially get that big KO early on and get that upset. So as a bit of a long shot GPP play, Sado, we might sprinkle into a few of our lineups here and there, but we really like Gunnar Nelson in this spot. We definitely think he could get the finish, and that sub is looking good for him to score big.
Like we said, Gunnar Nelson has that path to victory, he has a submission route, but if you believe in ring rust, if you believe in people coming back after 3 years and not being someone you want to play, Sado definitely has a path to victory here in that early knockout. All right, let's talk about one last GPP dog, and can't believe I'm saying this. Makwan Amir, 7.7K, he's a guy I'm looking into. Now, Grundy's a guy I've been high on. Didn't do as well as I wanted against Bernardo last time out, but he's facing a guy in Americani here who, it's just a weird stylistic matchup. On one side, you have the wrestler, you have the power, you have the durability of Grundy, and we know that Americani isn't the most durable fighter, doesn't have the best cardio, but there's one thing he does have, and that is a ground game. Great BJJ, super slick, and even on the feet, which sometimes happens between two people who want to take to the ground, is just have a stalemate on the feet. I do favor him here. So, if you look at it from this way, you have the guy who has the better submission path to victory here and the better striking advantage. As long as he doesn't get nuked, he has a good path to victory here at 7.7K. It's tough though because we know he's been knocked out. We know he's not the most durable fighter. We know he doesn't have the best cardio. He is another GBP play for me though at 7.7K. I'm going to like him. I am going to pick him by sub because Grundy's going to give him what he wants. Amir wants to the ground and Grundy's going to get it there. I just hope he survives the early onslaught and does that. All right, that's going to do it for us on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. A few more things before I let you guys go. Number one, Ilia Topuria, 9.3K. He should finish here. Jai Herber's been knocked out and on the ground. Topuria's got the advantage all day. Super chalky, but I do think he goes out there and kills him. Another fight I want to target up there is going to be that Pavlovich versus Abdurakhimov fight. I do think that it's either Pavlovich early or Amerikanov late. Pavlovich hasn't fought in a few years, but he does have that explosive power, those first round wins. I'm going to pick him to win here, and I do think if he wins, he scores high. If it does get extended, I will have some Shamil there as well. That's going to do it for us on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. If you guys want to know more, make sure to check us out on Twitter at GamblesGordo, at PlaysFades. If you want to know more about my bets this week, I know it's a weird card for betting, especially with all these favorites. Check out at Current MMA. The link will be in the bio. I will have a best bets video hopefully out by then. And as always, live streams on Friday with Liam Picks Fights, Phoenix MMA. Last week was super fun. We called out some amazing things. We made a lot of money. We're looking to keep that rolling. Oh, yeah. This is a beautiful card, and I'm super excited to watch this weekend. So as always, make sure to hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and let's make some money. Ding.